second chance in the game.
Mike Popovich here, Collinsville High School head football coach, talking a little bit about tempo. Tempo is something that, is kind of taking the country by storm, and now all of a sudden everybody has a form of tempo, or they think that they're high tempo, they're up tempo. And I'd like to talk with you a little bit about it, just how we do things, kind of my past with it, the evolution of tempo in my offense and my program, because now we're to the point where we don't just consider ourselves an up-tempo offense, we're an up-tempo program. So moving right along, things to consider. When you're thinking about doing tempo, what kind of team are you? Are you a bad team? Are you an average team? Are you a good team? Are you a great team? I've heard, the idea of tempo, it can make a bad team average, or an average team good, or a good team great, or a great team, darn near unbeatable. And some people will say, well, it's not for everybody. It might not be for everybody. It might not. I understand that. And the one thing that I know about tempo is you have to be 100% bought in. If you're not, you can't be half in, half off the boat, or half on the boat. You're either on the boat or you're not. How do you want to take the next step? Are you a team that is a traditional wing T team that the thought of going up tempo is just completely mind-boggling, or whatever it is? If you're split back veer, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be just a spread team to be up tempo. And like I said, there are different versions of it. I know when I was in high school, we played against a no-huddle team, but it was very slow, very methodical. They wanted us to line up, find out what we were doing, and then they wanted to adjust off of that. Some other things to consider. How are you up front? Are you small and quick? Small and slow? Are you big and quick? Are you big and slow? What is it? Does it make a difference? It does make a difference. Absolutely it does. Obviously, if you're going to go ahead and we're looking at potentially, milking the most out of how we are up front, and I said it in my other videos that, your mindset from an offensive standpoint has to be going into a game. My main concern is what can my offensive line do and what can they not do? Because we're going to kind of go as they go. So a lot of that hinges on what they're capable of doing. Here at Collinsville, this next year we're going to be significantly smaller than I think a lot of teams. Now with that, there is a trade-off. We're not small and slow. I think we're relatively quick. So we're going to be small and quick, which is awesome. It's going to allow us to push the tempo. Now, guys can say, well, Collinsville's kind of gotten their brains kicked in for quite some time. You're going to push tempo, it's going to be even worse. Guys, we're trying to establish an identity when we step onto the field. Our culture, like I said, we're an up-tempo program. We want to push the tempo. We talk about turning it into a track meet, seeing who's in better shape all the time. As opposed to us going ahead and relying heavily on 11 or 12 guys and not branching out, playing kids both ways. We're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and we are going to make sure that we're playing as many kids as we can, two platooning, and we want to tire you out. This is what we want to do, and we're going to do that a couple different ways. We're going to do it against in some different variations. But with that being said, how often, answer this question, how often do you practice against tempo? Are you somebody that never sees it unless you are preparing 1 week for a team? We talk about taking that next jump. If you're an average team looking to be good, or you're a good team looking to be great, and you get into the postseason, and all of a sudden you've always got that bugaboo where this team, they tempo you and you don't have an answer. Have you prepared for that? It's incredibly difficult. Like I said, teams like to believe they're up tempo, but they're not. Just because you're no huddle, that doesn't mean you push tempo. All right, there's a big difference between the two. And I think it can be an equalizer. The other thing to consider is how many reps are you getting in practice? I know this, playing in a program where we were split back veer, inside outside veer, quick pitch trap, very, very simple. We repped that nonstop. We were not very efficient with our time. We spent a ton of time at practice standing in huddles, not getting a lot of reps, and it really hurt us. Yes, we went ahead and I get it, as far as we were successful, that's fine. I would have liked to have seen how much more successful we could have been had we pushed tempo, because I just don't think teams prepare for it very well. I think they struggle. The other thing is what do you hang your hat on? With the idea of jack of all trade or master of none. What do you hang your hat on? We hang it on tempo. This is what we do. This is who we are as a program. And it allows us to get great at stuff, because I can rep throwing fast screens over and over and over and over again, because we're throwing that ball so much in practice. We're getting used to that rep. We're getting used to our footwork, sticking and staying, and everything else that we need to be doing. They see so many reps. They see so many live quality reps that tempo actually helps us out. So those are some things to consider. Now, kind of my tempo evolution here. I think a lot of teams, especially in the mid-2000s, early 2000s, everybody was using wristbands. And wristbands, if you've used wristbands before, at the time they were the coolest thing ever. You'd go ahead and you'd write down a play, and everybody just looked at the play and you did what you did, but it never failed. Somebody makes a mistake, kid looks down at their band, trying to figure out what went wrong, where did he read it wrong. Drives you nuts as a coach, because you're going ahead, you make one mistake on that band, you're in a situation where you got to replace the entire band. Now, I've also seen wristbands. We got to the point where we had a wristband maker where it would shoot a play out of a bank onto a card, and it actually shot everybody's responsibility out, which was great, right? If I'm an X, I've got an X band. It tells me exactly what to do. What happens if I'm actually an X because the number one H is better than I'm the number two H, and the H is important on our offense? The H goes down. Now I got to go ahead and I got to take this wristband off. I got to find an H band. I got to get an X out there. Well, the number two X actually has been wearing a number two Z band. I mean, it's just mass confusion. Stay away from wristbands. Wristbands are, we had it. It was great. It's ran its course. It's time to move on from that. We ended up, when I got out to Army, we used wristbands the first year, and it really handcuffed us in certain situations, because there were things that we wanted to do. We'd get into certain scenarios, and I wanted to call something, but we didn't have it on the band out of that formation, and had I put it on the band out of that formation, I had to take something else off. It just handcuffs you. It's something to think about. We ended up going into my second year in Army. We decided the big fad was the cards, right? The Oregon play cards. So you've got the 4 pictures, and trying to figure out how they worked. Now, being the moron that I am, we go ahead. We've got the 4 pictures, right? Well, we play Navy twice that year. We play them first game of the year, and how we read pictures was this. It was we would hold up a color board as well, and this color board would tell you where to look, which picture to look at. And that picture meant the formation, it meant snap count, it meant what play we were running, everything. So it's great. Well, you go ahead and we get into our first game, and I decide, since we're playing Navy twice, I'm going to have our red, blue, white, and gold calls, but I'm also going to add some dummy colors as well. I didn't realize I had a kid that was colorblind. So you go ahead and you go through the whole game, and the kid continues to make mistakes, and then you're in trouble. But the cards, I like to tell that story because we have evolved from that. But the cards are great. Picture up, I see the picture. Picture's worth 1,000 words. Bam, trigger something, I'm fine. It helps me out. You can use the cards. Cards, you got to rely heavily on other people, though. And with me, I don't want to be sitting here waiting on a kid. Now, with that being said, if there's a kid that's a senior, he's a junior, and he's a great kid, he works his tail off for you, and you want to use him, it's a great way to go ahead and use it. Let him carry around the cards, give him that job, he'll eat that up, and they'll get after it. But we kind of evolved past the cards. There were some things that we kind of struggled with that we didn't want to add pictures every week. All right? And if you look at Chip Kelly during his time out at Oregon and all these other programs, they typically, with those cards, they're only calling about 25% of their entire offense off of those cards. So the rest, 75%, whether it be signals or whether it be words. Now, I have not used signals. I've been fortunate enough to where we use one word and we just go. All right, we've got a tempo. I'm calling out a word. So you look at the screen, some of the examples we've got. So during my time at Mount Zion, it had to make sense for the kids, and it made sense for me. I mean, coaches are always going to pick up. I needed it to make sense for me too, just because. So I kind of took care of the words. But so if you were looking at GT to the left, everything we did GT to the left, we would run California. All right. So if I had Oakland called, Oakland meant that we were running GT to the left for the lineman because it was a city in California, and Oakland meant we had an out concept tagged on the outside. Number 2, we were running two-step outs. Number 1, we're going ahead and we were running vertical with that. Subaru, so you've got Subaru. Subaru would be GT to the right. It's a car. It's a slant. Subaru starts with an S. All right. Oakland started with an O. Hollywood, or hitch concept, GT to the left. Hollywood, hitch concept on the outside. All right, and then you had Fresno, city in California, fast on the outside. We tried to keep stuff as simple as possible. I will tell you this, you're going to have kids, when you do one word, have more than one word. All right, so have a way to call it. But kids are always going to come over and say, hey, Coach, they know our calls. They know them. No, they don't. All right? Listen, if I'm able to use this out at Army and we're playing against Penn, Cornell, Princeton, and Navy, and those kids can't figure it out, don't tell me that some kid at a random school is figuring out your calls. And even if he is, he's not echoing them to the other 10 players if you're playing quick. It allows you to go ahead and get it in. I like to dictate tempo. I like to be in a situation where I'm not going up against the D coordinator and allowing him to get organized. If you walk into a defensive coordinator's office, this is so true. This is so true. You walk into a defensive coordinator's office, everything is strategically placed, they're organized, they have everything planned out. The guy I coached with last year, Muscuda coach Josh Lee, he is so meticulous. Everything is planned out. Dude, if you get into a chess match with that guy, he's got an answer for almost everything. So what do I want to do? I want to take him out of his comfort zone. I want to see what he feels comfortable in base. And now with huddle, sideline, and everything else that we've got, Sky Coach, whatever you use, you are allowed to see what they're into when I'm pushing tempo. It gives you a little bit of an advantage. My tempo evolution to this last year at Muscuda, how we did things, what I realized was this. We had kind of two different paces. When we were in Ronda Rousey, we held up a sign, and that meant we were in attack mode. All right? So our kids would see Rousey, and I yelled a word, and because you have to have a way to decipher between the two, because you're not going to go 100 miles an hour the entire time. All right? It's not going to happen. We like to push tempo as much as possible, but I might want to yell Sacramento, and us not run this, us run GT to left with slants on the outside, but us not run this in 8 seconds into the play clock. So they're going to take a normal tempo pace, which is still moving. I'm jogging, I'm getting up to line, I'm ready to play. But the difference between just normal tempo and Rousey is this. We change our cadence. Our cadence goes from down, set, go to now all of a sudden when we're in Rousey, we're in attack mode, we're saying go. It's first sound. We want to get off the ball. We want to hit you in the mouth, and we want to push it. So our kids find a little bit of extra, juice, and we push tempo. We get going on that. The other thing is you've got our freeze thing. We would hold up a Jamaican flag. I don't know why. I have no idea. But it made sense to us. So the kids would see Jamaican flag, and they would actually sprint up to the ball, and we were going to yell go, and then we were going to turn around, and we were going to find the call, and then we were going to play. That's what we wanted to do. And the reason why is, and teams towards the end of the year, yeah, sure, teams see the signs up and they realize you've only got 2 on the sideline. And we did that last year. We were able to get away with it. Moving forward in the future, this won't be used. It'll be different things, different ideas. But it allowed us to get up to the ball. If I wanted to see where defense was going to line up in base, I could do that. If I wanted to see if somebody was going to go ahead and roll to a call after we would freeze, they'd have an automatic, because they're not going to have 35 different checks. They're going to have their D coordinator's going to have their base stuff when we're going ahead and we're pushing tempo. And when we freeze, they're going to roll into something. And maybe if we double freeze, maybe they roll back. I don't know. But I want to see what coverage they're going to roll into when we freeze. And we have that luxury now with huddle sideline. So how do we practice tempo? You've got, first thing we do is right off the bat here at Collinsville, we've gone team tempo on air. So we'll get a group. They'll be on the goal line. We go through the 50-yard line. We'll call out a regular play, and they will run it, and then we're yelling a code word, whatever that word is, and they're lining up, and they are just going as fast as they can. So you see on there, you see the little baseball, the pitch counter. I am there. So if we're going 5 to 10 minutes of it, typically 10 minutes right now because we have a mass group doing it. We've got more than one group, and I want to make sure our 1s and 2s are getting a lot of reps. So what I will do is this. I will go ahead and I will, as we move on, I will click and we will try and beat a number. So that gives them a little bit of sense of urgency. We talked in another video about nevers. Once again, something, a different way to measure success by clicking on this, saying, well, guys, we've never hit X amount of plays in 5 minutes, and we want to go. All right, how are we going to do that? Because we've got to make sure that we're doing it legally. So we want to make sure our guys are getting inside the numbers, getting on the line. We also will have coaches running around in official shirts. We ordered officials' pennies that they put on. Why? I want to get them the football as quick as possible so they can put the ball on the ground and we want to go. All right? We're not waiting for a whistle. We understand we have to during a game, but we want games to slow down because that's how fast we're playing in practice. The other thing we'll do, the picture right in the middle, you've got everybody, the Cameron Crazies going ahead right behind the North Carolina player, and they're yelling at him. We want people behind our quarterback and our offensive line yelling as loud and clapping as much as they can, making as much noise. Why? Well, you're not playing in front of zero fans. So we tell them all the time, eventually when we get this thing turned around here at Collinsville, there's going to be a situation where you're playing in front of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people in a playoff game, and they're going to be going crazy, and you've got to be the eye of the storm. You've got to be calm. You have got to go ahead and make sure that everybody can hear you. Center's got to hear the quarterback, all right, everybody. So we are as loud as we can, and what a great culture builder. What a great way for team chemistry to build that, because guys are going crazy. You got coaches jumping in there yelling, a little bit of trash talking. We love it and get you jacked up because you're getting used to it. We'll also blare music at practice. We do this throughout. Kids think that we blare music because it's fun for them. It's not. It's about communication. To allow us to play as fast as we can on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, we have to be able to communicate. And so you'll have older coaches be like, we got to turn that music down. I can't coach. No, dude, you need to turn your volume up. You need to make sure that we're communicating with these kids. They need to be in those situations. So we actually will pump in crowd noise. We downloaded a stadium noise, and we'll pump that in during that time as well. The other thing that we talk about, the other way we practice this is ping pong. With ping pong, we do it, I've seen Coach Leonard at Rochester do this, and I actually saw Coach Lee do this on the defensive side of the ball. It's a drill that you can use. You've got basically two groups going, two scout team groups going, and you're in the middle, all right? So from an offensive standpoint, if I'm worried about seeing this against this formation, maybe it's trips. All right, we're going to run to this side, and we're going to run a play out of trips. And then, man, we're turning around, and 20 yards downfield on this side or 15 yards downfield, we're lining up in a different formation down here against this defense. Now, what it allows you to do is this. It allows, you got to have a scout team coach on both sides. Have that scout team coach have a defense ready. If you script it, you're going to, even if you don't take anything away from this, because you don't want to go ahead and you don't want to push tempo, you're going to be more efficient during practice if you can get guys, two scout teams going on each side to where you play in between. It's ping pong. You're going back and forth. So Jay Lee at Mascoutah does it where they have different formations. They're not even running plays. It's alignment and assignment. I run down here. I see trips. This is how we align. This is my assignment. All right, I come down here. It's 2 by 2. This is where we're at. But you're constantly moving back and forth, calling strengths, doing different things from a defensive standpoint as well. So it's a great way for us to push tempo. It sucks. It's a horrible thing for the kids because, man, they're going. And a lot of times when you're pushing tempo against the defense, you rely on the fact that they're not ready to go. Man, it's frustrating when you go against somebody and you run down and you got a defense waiting for you, which just makes us want to play even faster. We want our kids to realize that teams are not going to be able to line up and get ready to go. So those are some different ways that we practice it. What has changed over the years with me with the tempo standpoint? First of all, less is more. we used to have the entire playbook that we could tempo, because you go ahead and you'd have words and everything could be tempo depending on what you were saying with it or what sign you were holding up. Now we're getting to the point where we do 4 to 5 things. We want to be great at those 4 to 5 things. All right, and when I show film, I'm actually not going to, I'm not going to pretend that we ran plays both ways. We didn't. Last year, we were good at running power to the left. We were great at running toss to the right. We were great at throwing fast screens. That's what we did. So so it's one of those things where we run power to the left side last year. Our offensive line coach was like, we got to run it to both sides. No, we don't. If we get great at doing something and we're going to push tempo, it allows us to do that. So we have 1 to 2 run plays that we'll run tempo-wise. We'll have a screen in there. We'll have a quick game in there, and then we'll have a 90 set, which is a 3-step. So we can get away with 4 to 5 things going into a week. And that's one thing that has changed. That's one thing where we've adapted big time. We've also developed a repeat call, all right, which we love. With our repeat call, it's something where, let's say that we run, we're trips right, and we run GT to the right, and we've got a fast screen tagged to number 1 all the way on the outside of the right. And let's just say that I call it, I don't even know, Canada, all right? So we go ahead and we've got Canada called. And we want to go ahead and we love the look of it and we want to run the same play again. Well, instead of us yelling Canada, we've got another word that we're going to yell because it's a repeat call. So whatever it might be Rapunzel, it might be Peter Pan, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever your repeat call is, it's telling your guys to get up to the ball and run the same play that we just ran as fast as you can. That's exactly what we want to do. So we've got a repeat call, and we've got a situation where, like I just said, we're trips right. We've got Canada called, GT to the right, tagging at number 1 with fast, and maybe we hand GT, and maybe fast was there. So I go ahead and I'm yelling our repeat call, Rapunzel, 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 whatever it is. They get up, they know we're running the same call over and over again. We're going to run that same call. Now, later on in the game, maybe I've got GT to the left called, I've got trips right, GT to the left, and now I want to throw a fast screen to number 2. Maybe that's, I don't even know, Alaska, whatever. And I want to run it again right after that. I can use the same repeat call, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, Rapunzel. Well, they think we're running the same play we did earlier in the day, and we're not. It's a repeat call. We're just going ahead, repeat the play before. It seems so simple. Maybe you've already thought of it. That's great. But it's really worked well for us, especially with quarterbacks when you're doing things, when you've got things tagged, screens off of it, quick game tagged off of it, whatever it is, so that your quarterback can see it and say, wow, okay, I know why he's calling this again because he really liked it last time. All right? The other things that change are formations. We used to always be in a predetermined formation when we'd go fast. So we were always out of, whether it be ace or 2x2 stuff or trips. Hey, we're always going in. We're always going to be out of this formation. Well, it limits you. It really does. Especially if you find a look later on that you want to go ahead and you want to use. So what we decided to do is with our formations, we were just going to stay in whatever formation we were in previously. So maybe we're in trips left and all of a sudden we want to go fast and I want to run this whatever play. I want to run at Alaska. We're yelling Alaska and we're going fast right now. Well, you could just basically stay in the same formation that we were already in. So that's a way for us to speed up tempo as well. So a couple big things. Obviously getting the officials the ball, making sure you're getting lined up as quick as you can. We always like to tell kids, don't be the guy that we're waiting on. Don't be the guy that we're waiting on going, and that goes for everything. So I want to go ahead and I want to show you guys some film clips here. All right, guys, I want to go ahead and go over a drive last year, week 1 against Marion. It was when I was at Mascoutah. We were pushing tempo on this drive, and I wanted to just kind of show you guys how this works. Right now, we're just in our bone formation. We're going to run a little bit of ISO here, but I want you to, we rip off a big gain, and you're going to notice my buddy right here, the big guy, all right, me yelling at him, telling him we're going fast. So you see the sign go up. All right, now that's Jamaica on the backside. That's not freeze, so this means that we're in Rousey because Rousey was on the other side. So, of course, week 1, ahead of the game, it allowed us to go ahead and start pushing, and all of a sudden quarterback sees it. Quarterback knows, hey, we've got to get going. It's time to get ready and get going and play. All right, so we get into it. You see the sign. We're already set, and we're immediately into the next play, and we're tossing it. We're getting out, and now we've got them back on their heels a little bit. You see us running up, We're going ahead, and we're getting the sign up, and we're going again. So right here, you see the big guy right here. He's got the Rousey. So now we're in a formation. And I told you, we didn't do a lot out of it. So we started the drive out with ISO, which was not a play that we went ahead and ran a ton of. We ran it enough, but it was not a tempo play for us. We ran power to the left. We ran toss to the right. We were very, very simple. Well, here we go with power, and we start going. And if you look, you've got guys, as they are getting down, these D linemen right here start to go ahead. You got a D lineman that are two of them. Their interior linemen are standing up as we get ready to snap the ball, and they were big. It's an equalizer, all right? So all of a sudden, and you're going to see our right guard starts dragging butt here. I mean, he's tired. But our left guard and our left tackle, it was great for them. And all of a sudden, now a team that is significantly bigger, we're getting a push. And we're hitting things, and we're picking up 5 yards of pop right here off of just straight power. Now we come back. We're still going. Now we come right into a toss play. We get it. We have a kid make a good play just to get back to the line of scrimmage, and we're still in that tempo mode where we want to get up and go. So we get back, tempo again, we're running power, and now we've got another push right here. And we just keep coming, keep it simple. Like I said, that backer, when we run power at them, we're out of the bone, so we're coming, and obviously we're doubling down, working a backside back, or we've got our up back kicking out DN or logging them, and then you've got guard and backside up back pulling around. I get it. That backer flies down. He's a stud. He sticks his nose in there. He stuffs it. Everybody gets excited over that. Is he going to do it again the next play? Because that's what, and the play after that, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and because I believe we're in better shape. I believe the way for us to equalize the playing field against certain teams is to push it as fast as we physically can. So here we go. We've got a big 4th down call right here, and we've got it. As soon as we pick this up, all right, we freeze. That's our freeze. We see what they're in. You've got guys up top talking to you. If you're one that listens to headset, we've got a call in we felt good about, so we go ahead and run it, and immediately after the 1st down right here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get in. Cards up. And we're going. We're getting set. Ball is snapped. We've got ISO and we're getting after them. We're getting them back. And guys, we had not had a push the entire game. And now all of a sudden you're seeing us really put our foot on their throat and get in and establish the line of scrimmage, which is what we try to tell our kids. That's what we want. We want to get a push. And I'm a guy that likes to toss the ball around. I get that. But at the same time, I understand the importance of dominating up front. And I know this, when you're small, I said at the beginning of this, what type of team do you have? What type of line do you have? Are you small and quick? Or are you small and slow? Even if you're small and slow, you got to find a way to even the playing field. And how often are teams playing against this? All right, that's something that I want you guys to understand. And now we go ahead and we run power right here. We rip off a big gain at the end of a drive, tempoed it, and we just got to push and we get right through them. We have a big score right here. And the excitement of the guys, because we had told them nonstop, our offensive linemen, I'll ask them, I'm like, dude, who are you going to prom with? They say Temple. Temple, coach. I'm going with Temple. Yeah, Temple is your best friend. It has to be. And it's going to allow us to go ahead and be in a situation for our kids to be successful, which is the most important. Guys, I really appreciate you watching this with Temple, watching this video with Temple. It's something that we truly believe in, and thank you very much.